Good evening. Are we ready? Yes. It is 6 p.m. I'd like to call to order our City of SeaTac's council meeting. It is 6 p.m. Roll call. Would you take the roll call, Christina?
Mayor Mohammed Igal.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Iris Guzman. Present. Council members Jake Simpson.
Here.
Peter Kwan.
I'm here.
James Lovell.
Present.
And Joe Vincent.
Present.
Councilmember Sanait Nuguse is excused absent.
Okay. All right. Let's salute our flag. I pledge to the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will read a brief statement. This meeting will be conducted in hybrid format with in-person and remote option for public participation. The meeting will be broadcast on CTV Government Access Comcast Channel 21 and live streaming on city website. Okay, so the next item is public comments, and we have a lot of public comments today. So in person public comments, I will go that, and I will call Damiana Merriwater. For the next 3 minutes, it's all yours.
I'm sorry, Mayor, did you read the third and fourth items on the agenda review?
Okay, sorry. That will be quick. So the resolution for the agenda bill number 6415 was revised at my request. The mayor requested that to be revised. And the agenda bill 6417 was removed from the agenda prior to the meeting at my request, the mayor request. Okay, thank you very much for reminding me that. Ms. Merriwater, for the next 3 minutes, it's all yours.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, my name is Damiana Merriweather, and I am a SeaTac resident and volunteer for the city. And I just wanted to come and offer a brief comments as related to Agenda Bill 6415. I wanted to express my gratitude and appreciation for the service of the outgoing city manager. And my enthusiasm and excitement for the opportunity that the search for a new manager will present to our city in terms of seeking out new ideas, new leadership, and innovation to the city. So again, my gratitude for the great service of the outgoing city manager Cole, and my enthusiasm and excitement for being involved in the public process that I'm sure will be involved in helping find a great new city manager. Thank you so much.
Beautiful, thank you. Chuck, it will be, you have 3 minutes.
Evening, Council. As a council, your majority leadership has been questionable at best in your term. Twice you've passed on the most qualified, dedicated, and most popular council member for mayor, and chose one with zero experience. And this leads to getting rid of one of the, if not the best city manager we've had. For no apparent reason, one can only guess it's his ethical and transparency for which goes against your type of business. It's a major loss to the city. You have moved the bar of pathetic to a new level. Thank you.
Mr. Al Gibson.
I got 10 minutes. 10. I got a group. What? 10. Group.
He's speaking for a group.
Speaking for a group. Yes, I wouldn't just demand 10 minutes now, would I? Anyway, good evening, Council. we're going to talk, can you hear me? Okay. We're going to talk about Mr. Carl Cole's unexpected resignation. I'm going to have to read this. There was no warning or indication that City Manager Carl Cole had intended to resign. This can only indicate there was a conflict between the council and/or Mary Gall, and Mr. Cole was forced out or coerced to resign. This was done in secret at an executive session during his review. The Agenda Bill 6415, before you, states there was no vote taken or decision made. Apparently, this is not true in some sense, because we had in the packet, the council first names Public Works Director Will Appleton as interim city manager in Agenda Bill 6417, which has been removed. And then just, a little over 24 hours ago, we now named Government Communications Manager Kyle Moore as interim city manager. So obviously this was not a well-executed plan. In politics, I gather this is called transparency. During your discussion accepting Carl's resignation, Agenda Bill 6415, I would like the council members to expand on what the conflicts were. I have submitted a public records request for emails between the council members and the city manager for the last 30 days. So if there is anything in there, you might as well tell the public now, because I will. Second item I want to talk about is our budget issues. I attended the SeaTac macro budget workshop on the 9th. What I found disturbing is the attempt to sugarcoat and change the forecast that we'll be in a deficit and declining situation by 2024, where costs will exceed revenue, and our reserves will fall below the 4-month threshold by 2028. It was stated that this was the worst-case scenario if we keep spending and doing what we currently are doing. Some council members stated that corrective actions will be taken before this ever happens, and the forecast was misleading. I say differently. And many municipalities, government agencies, fall into deficits and then act like it's a surprise. Without corrective action, reduced spending, I'm not talking about austerity. I'm just talking about good fiscal management. We don't want to fall in that worst-case scenario, and if we do, it'll be the absolute and unequivocal intent of this council. And don't you dare try to blame it on outgoing City Manager Cole. This is a hole you're digging yourselves by your policies and actions. I will speak more on this later at later council meetings, especially if nothing changes in the majority council's attitude toward the city finances. The next thing I would like to talk about is character. When I questioned some council members about their poor attendance at meetings, I received quite a nasty reply from a council member, denigrating the active senior community. His disdain for seniors and retirees is shown in his comment. Our council is no longer made up of retirees, and most people in this country have to work for a living. You and your friends are obviously too privileged to understand that. Of course, that irritated me. I retired about a year ago after working for over 50 years, 2 and 3 jobs at times. And I've been coming to council meetings for the past 15 years, and my attendance is far better than this particular council member's, by far. This council member also tried to bypass procedures for establishing our legislative procedures by taking polls of the council members in private. This is all documented. Further, this council member blatantly violates 2.90.30, paragraph 5 of our ethics code by his employment. However, since it's up to the majority council to enforce it, it has not been pursued. And very recently, this same council member dared myself and Mr. Diarelli, who was just speaking, to take a swing at him in front of the city council, all the while glancing at the camera at the entrance of City Hall, of course. This was prompted when we questioned him about a Facebook posting calling Mr. Diarelli a wife beater. Nice guy, huh? The only resignation I would like to see is former mayor and now council member Jake Simpson's. He is nothing more than a bully and a corrupt puppet of Representative Mia Gregerson and her political vendor husband, John Weibel, his employer. To Carl, thank you for your service, and this community will miss you. Thank you. Time to spare.
I will call now George Hampson for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to the council. My name is George Remsen, and I've been in SeaTac now for 9 years, and I love SeaTac. I love the way it's been ran. I feel safe here, and I don't feel safe in some of the outskirting cities. City Manager Cole, I thought, was doing a fantastic job. I would like to know why we are letting him go. I don't know if he did it on his own. That's what he wanted. He put in a resignation, of course, but I just feel that he might have been squeezed and forced out. You know, and I hope that there's nobody's agenda that wants to be brought into this mix, because I don't want SeaTac to turn into the same kind of cities that's around us. I'm really concerned about the surrounding cities dumping their problems on us. You know, I worry about this. I know we need to be a good partner with King County, so we have to put up with so much. But I don't like the direction that King County's going in, and I'm concerned about SeaTac. I felt that we've been pretty independent and running fantastic, and it's a shame that we lost such a great city manager like Cole. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I will call now Cindy Gibson. Okay, she was with the group, all right. Richard Caddick, she was with the group. Okay, so Mr. Clinton.
Thank you, City Council. I appreciate the opportunity to speak here for 3 minutes. I've been in the city of SeaTac 12 years, homeowner. When I first came here, the city government was very questionable, very non-transparent, and I was quite disappointed. Over the years, it's gotten better since Carl came on and other council members, previous council members. It's come a long ways, and I feel now much safer in the city of SeaTac. I appreciate Carl Cole and all the work he's done. I've been in city government, small city governments, for 25 years, and I know how it goes. My opinion, he was voted out by council. I know how the process goes when this type of thing happens. I've seen it several times. When asking a council member whether that was true or not, this council member's answer is, are you inferring that this is a majority effort to remove Carl Cole, ? Or have you received incorrect information that he was terminated? So even the council is denying that he was terminated, and that council member knows who he is. I can't speak well enough about Carl Cole. In all my interactions, he's been professional, outstanding. We have a great city budget. We have a great city reserve fund. I'm concerned that that's going to be spent down quickly by the new council. So I would like to see Carl Cole stay. It was an option. If you support that, if he changes in the impression that you're trying to give, it was his choice. If he wanted to stay, I would hope you'd support that effort. I certainly do 100% to keep Carl Cole. Thank you.
Mr. Kevin Bannon.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to begin by thanking the city attorney who agreed to take on the case of the people who blocked the freeway approaching the airport. and the proper charges as should be done. I want to thank her for standing up and doing that and helping to keep our community a little better. I want to thank the person from the Parks Department. 3 weeks ago, when I found a homeless person at McMicken Park, that person from the Parks Department went by and picked up the abandoned property to keep the place looking good. Matter of fact, the Parks Department are really Johnny on the spot about keeping the parks clean. I really appreciate it. I want to thank the other member of the Parks Department. About 2 months ago, when I said it'd be really nice to have the drinking fountain that wasn't working at Valley Ridge fixed again, and said, well, admittedly, he was holding out for one of those new fashioned bottle fillers and filters. But he listened to me and was respectful. And the first sunny day, that fountain was fixed. I appreciate that. I could go on. There are so many staff people that have been helpful to me over the years. Council, the city manager among those. Carl has always answered my emails, answered my calls, agreed to meet me in person, put up with me patiently and respectfully. Now, he's gone, I regret that, but I want to say that I appreciate him as much or better than everyone else. I also want to ask you to make sure that the tone is properly set for the future, that those great staff that help me and others, the policemen that were walking down the hill today while the helicopter was circling around, looking for the bad guy, you'll get him. Keep it up. Thank you for that, because I don't need any bad guys in my yard. And I thank you for keeping that in mind. You guys set the tone. So when you get a new city manager, I hope you are open about it, like when Carl was appointed. No secret session, no backroom deals. I want to see the candidates here. I want to be able to sit back there and ask them polite, respectful questions. I want to hear about their management expertise. And I thank you for your time. And last but not least, I agree with him. Make sure that they know how to balance a budget and keep taxes down.
Thank you very much, sir.
One last thing.
Be quick.
When I was in my 20s, I was a big part of why you're here. I was one of those who walked around, got pneumonia for my efforts, got enough signatures to get this deal before the Boundary Review Board, because we hoped for a better community than what we had. That expectation remains with you. I'm going to keep an open mind, but I'm going to look at you to prove that you're doing a better job.
Thank you very much, sir.
Well, you just wait a minute.
You go
Thank
beyond
you.
your 3 minutes, and we appreciate
I know. And I thank you kindly for reminding me. But I do need to say one last thing. Thank you for your
quick.
time, your patience.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So we do have another bubble comment, removed bubble comments, and that will be Vicky Lackwood.
Actually, there were 3 people who registered for in-person. So the first one is Barbara McMichael.
Yes, Barbara. Good. Yeah, please.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, and neighbors. I'm Barbara McMichael. My home's at 208th and Military, and in celebration of Arbor Day and Earth Day this month, some of my neighbors and I, most of them wearing green tonight, everybody wave, and other colors, have come to update you on the work of Defenders of Highline Forest. This group formed a few years ago as Defenders of North SeaTac Park when the Port of Seattle announced a plan for industrial and development on land that it had given years earlier as parkland to mitigate for the airport's expansion into our community. We and some of our council members have pushed back hard against this plan. Over 3,700 people have signed our community forest consensus calling for long-term solutions by our local elected officials to defend the health of people, not just in North SeaTac, but in all communities adjacent to SeaTac Airport by protecting our forests, parks, and trees. I joined the North SeaTac Park folks early on out of solidarity because the southern part of SeaTac, where I live, has been even more deeply impacted by airport-related development. Now we've changed our name to Defenders of Highline Forest, and we're asking all airport-adjacent cities to do more to stand up for the health of our citizens and the preservation and restoration of our tree canopy. Over thousands of years, this very spot once supported contiguous forest. And you probably already know this, but now the accepted healthy tree canopy standard for urban areas in this region is 40 to 60%. But in 2017, when Forterra did its tree canopy assessment of SeaTac, our canopy measured a dismal 25%. And because the Port of Seattle funded that study, they didn't even let Forterra include the airport property and that vast barren airfield as part of the assessment. It gets worse. The 2017 assessment was conducted before construction had begun on the 509 freeway extension and the building of all those new warehouses. That's taken out tens of thousands of trees more, all in service to the airport, and it's deeply impacted some of the most densely populated southern neighborhoods of our city. Earlier this month, with a great deal of self-congratulation, the Port Commission approved a new land stewardship plan and tree replacement program for the airport. But look closely, and you'll see that there are very convenient gaps in what their plan actually covers. All of our SeaTac neighborhoods are hard hit by environmental impacts, and trees are a natural, obvious antidote to many of those problems. So we urge this council to redouble your efforts to protect our residents. 1, defend all remaining tree canopy in the city. 2, incentivize commercial developers and local homeowners to protect trees. 3, commit to making your new urban forester position full-time. 4, pressure the other public agencies you work with, the Port, Highline Schools, WashDOT, Sound Transit, to plant more trees. Let's increase tree canopy in our city to 30%, 40, 50, 60%. To learn more, you can look up defendersofhighlineforest.org. Folks who sign the forest consensus on the website will receive our monthly newsletter. The Defenders are here to celebrate your successes and push for more. Thank you.
Thanks. Elizabeth Granger.
Good evening, Mayor Egal and Council. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. My name is Elizabeth Greninger. I'm a resident of SeaTac. First, I just want to thank the defenders of the Highline Forest. I really appreciate the speaker tonight and want to echo those comments. I think it's so important that we protect our green spaces here in SeaTac. I'm here tonight to speak about Agenda Bill 6415. First, I want to say thank you to former or outgoing City Manager Carl Cole. You have led the city through a pandemic and a city that has been through massive shifts, and I am so grateful for the leadership that you've shown. You've worked with the council to move us through, so thank you for everything you've done, and I wish you all the best. I am here tonight to ask the council to choose our next interim and ultimately long-term city managers with intention. Some of you know that I've had the opportunity to talk to thousands of SeaTac residents over the last couple of years, and I have heard directly from them over and over again how important it is that we have leaders at all levels of our city government who are truly working to improve the lives of all who live and work in SeaTac. SeaTacians need a city manager who participates in conversations about human services, parks and green spaces, traffic safety, regional transportation, and city planning, and ask themselves, what can I do to lift up this community? We need a city manager who works every day to remove barriers for the hardworking public servants who are dedicated to working within our community. As we all know, SeaTac is a diverse place. We are more ethnically diverse than New York City. We need a city manager who makes every decision from the perspective of prioritizing the needs of every single family here in SeaTac. We need a city manager who understands that the definition of public safety goes well beyond a budget line item for police. It's about working with the council to make sure the residents of SeaTac have what they need to live full, healthy, happy, and productive lives. So I'm here tonight to ask the council to please remember these priorities and to move forward with a transparent selection process that honors those priorities for all of us and not just the loudest few. Thank you.
Next person will be Bam Fanal. She is not here. Okay, so we have the next item is the remove public comments, and that will be Vicky Lockwood. Please.
Vicky, are you able to unmute? Okay, let's see. Rename, remove permission to talk. I gave her permission to talk.
Okay, we can circle back. Oh, she's coming through.
Yeah. I don't know. Because yeah. Yeah, I gave her permission. It's not unmuting though. She asked me earlier if she needed to do that. So *6? Vicky, can you do *6 on your phone? If you can hear me.
If she cannot, we can ask her to submit it in writing, right?
Okay. Oh, looks like she.
Beautiful, good.
I have done *6 114 times, so can you hear me now?
Yes, very well. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
I'm saddened about the recent resignation of Carl Cole as our city manager. Mr. Cole, I wish you happiness and satisfaction in the next chapter of your life. You have earned and you deserve both of those things. Thank you, Mr. Cole, for your positive leadership, your unwavering professionalism, your wisdom, and your dedication to our city and to all the people who live and work here. Good evening.
Okay, thank you very much. The next item in the agenda is the key city issues, and that will be the deputy city manager, Gwen Fabel.
Yes, good evening. I'm going to start by letting you know about 4 grant applications. Number 1 being a grant application to the United States Department of Transportation for a Safe Streets and Roads for All grant for $1.66 million to update our local road safety plan and also construct a demonstration or a pilot project to provide safer travel for pedestrians and bicyclists. Number 2 being a grant application for King County Veterans, Seniors, and Human Services Levy funds of $164,638 to be used to expand programming, in particular cultural programming and improvements to the community center. Number 3 is a grant application to the United States Department of Transportation through the Office of Senator Murray for the airport station area pedestrian improvements. The amount of that grant application is $4 million. And the 4th and final one tonight is a grant application to the Federal Highway Administration through the Puget Sound Regional Council for $2 million for the construction phase of South 24th Street's improvement project. Just a couple more items. I would request referral of CRF 2024-03 to a council study session. This is regarding a fund to increase affordable housing and home ownership in SeaTac, emailed to the council on April 15, 2024. Do I have your consent to bring that to council study session?
That would be fine with me. Yes, you have.
Okay, excellent, thank you. And then I just wanted to confirm that you all received by email, as required in the Planning Commission bylaws, their revised bylaws. Those were sent on April 16th. And just reminders, and I'm sure some of you might be mentioning this on your comments, so I apologize, but I want to plug National Drug Take Back This Day, this Saturday, April 27th from 10 to 2 at City Hall. And also the salmon release this Saturday, April 27th from 10 to 11. That will be at the SeaTac Des Moines Creek Trailhead. That's at 2151 South 200th Street. And due to the fact that we have limited parking at the trailhead, a courtesy shuttle will run every 10 minutes from Angle Lake Park. And thank you for putting up with my congested delivery. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Any question or comments? I will start with Mr. Simpson.
No questions. Thanks, Juan.
Mr. Kwan,
No question. Thanks.
Mr. LaBelle,
No questions or comments. Thank you.
Mr. Finson,
No, thank you.
Deputy Mayor Guzman.
None.
And I don't have it. Thank you very much. The next item of the agenda is the committee updates. So we'll start with Mr. Simpson too. Again.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had a Transportation and Public Works meeting on April 11th. The first item was the solid waste contract renewal. Interesting was that we, the current solid waste contract expires May 31st, 2025. A new contract was needed to start on June 1st, 2025 and extend through May 31st, 2035. We sent out RFPs. 4 providers expressed initial interest, but only 1 provider, Recology King County, submitted a proposal. We got some pretty good things in the bargaining of that contract. Hans Van Dusen, the council approved several months ago Hans Van Dusen to help us with the proposal process and the bargaining of that contract. We all recommended bringing it forward to the full council to approve, with a recommendation to approve. Then we moved on to on-call contract for real property and right-of-way management services. And then we talked about ongoing CRFs. We also have a department update with several things. 34th Avenue South Phase 1 will be complete by May 1st. There will be a ribbon cutting date. 509 Stage 2 construction will start this summer. A council presentation is studied for the May 28th regular council meeting. Sound Transit's going to start construction on a second pedestrian elevator at the airport station this year. There could be potential for a ribbon cutting soon at the River Ridge Sidewalk project. And the committee asked about the progress on streetlight acquisition in the city. And our staff has been talking to Puget Sound Energy and Seattle City Light of our desire to assume the lights. And that was it. Thanks.
Thank you, Council Member Simpson. Council Member Finson, Public Safety and Justice.
Thank you, Mayor Egal. On April 4th, earlier this month, we held a Public Safety and Justice Committee meeting. We heard from the community concerns regarding the fireworks ordinance and the potential of studying what Berrien has in place. Chief Smithmeyer gave a great presentation and actually provided some off-the-cuff facts regarding firework complaints we received last year. Roughly 20% of the calls were fireworks related. And seeing that this was such a, I don't want to say intense, but very involved discussion, we are hosting a follow-up special Public Safety and Justice Committee meeting on May 16th, just to continue that discussion. We also discussed flock safety cameras, and they are referred on the agenda tonight, the consent agenda for the approval. Those are all the updates I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Council Member Finson. Deputy Mayor Guzman for the Administration and Finance.
So we held the Admin and Finance meeting on April, and I'm sorry, I had it open. I don't know what happened to it. Shoot. Sorry, give me a moment. I'm sorry?
11.
Yeah. I just had the minutes and I lost them. Yeah, sorry. So we held the meeting. Okay. I'm still opening the wrong ones. Here they are. No. My apologies. I had them open, and of course, I don't know what happened because I'm always discombobulated. Just 1 minute, I got it. April 4th, and it was a pretty quick meeting. We met to talk about the expenses for Councilmember Lovell's trip to the National League of Cities, just approving the final costs for that. We had actually a really good presentation from Maria Woods about vacant positions that are coming open to expand services. And then the surplus city property, asset disposal, that's a pretty common thing that we do regularly, and just what we were going to do with that and how to get rid of some old stuff. One of them was a typewriter stand. I had a lot of questions about that. And then we also went over our February investment report. Gwen Pilo is doing an amazing job as our Director of Finance, just really looking at different ways to grow our money, and that was it.
Good, thank you very much. The next item of the agenda is the,
Mayor,
yes.
I have an update for skateboard.
Okay, so we have update from the skateboard.
Thanks. So the South King County Area Transportation Board met last week on Tuesday. This is the committee made up of 14 cities in South King County. And they meet every third Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. So the main item on the agenda that was discussed is a new bus route that is coming to South King County. And so this is being operated by Sound Transit. It's going to be called the S1 line. And the route is going to be from the Bellevue Transit Center to the Burien Transit Center. And it's actually going to go through SeaTac as well. So one of the concerns that I raised with this particular line is that because it will follow 518, and 518 is frequently backed up with airport-related traffic. And on top of that, there are plans to create a bus stop in the middle of the freeway on 518. So the concern here is how is that going to affect the traffic in and out of our city, especially for people either accessing the airport or wanting to access International Boulevard by taking that exit, or wanting to access the Tukwila International Boulevard Light Rail Station, which will all be using the same exact exit, including the bus. So we will have further discussions on that forthcoming with future discussions related to this project, but just wanted to point that out. And the other presentation was from the Puget Sound Regional Council regarding the Vision 2050 and climate goal. So that is currently under consideration by the Puget Sound Regional Council, and they are welcoming public comments and questions and concerns, anything like that. And finally, the last item was the letter of support process. So because skateboard is made up of 14 member cities, in the past, we have received a request from organizations that are primarily applying for grant funding in order to get support from all 14 cities in one shot. And so we don't have an official letter of support process, and so we are considering creating one, or maybe not creating one, but that's under discussion. And one of the concerns here is that if a letter of support is requested, then each member of the committee will have to then take it back to the respective city councils in order to make sure that the city councils are okay with it before bringing it back again to skateboard. So the process will probably take a while, especially since at the city council level, we'll have to probably refer this to a committee and then have the discussion in committee and then have it come back to council. So I brought up these concerns so everybody is aware of it. However, the discussion will be ongoing. The next meeting will be on the next third Tuesday, 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. And if you want to find information about this group, you can Google South King County Area Transportation Board, and there's a website, and that website was finally updated. After, I think, 6 years, it's been updated. And that's one of the requests that I asked is, some of the information on here is a little outdated. So brand new website and additional information on there. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. And actually, I found out that the Park and Rec met in April 11th. So if you have updates, give it to me.
Yeah, so this meeting was actually pretty quick as well. We did discuss the SeaTac Des Moines Creek Parks Trailhead, the design contract amendment. We had talked about this previously in terms of why it needed to be changed, and that had to do with where the entrance for SCORE was and how it was kind of in the way. So we just had to kind of modify that, and I feel that Michael Fitzpatrick, our Deputy Parks and Recreation Director, did an excellent job communicating with SCORE and working through that with them. And then the other piece was updates on our current CRFs and kind of where we're at on some of those. And then just a director's update. So it was a pretty straightforward meeting.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll move to the next item in the agenda, which is the consent agenda. Christina.
Right, the following item was reviewed at the April 4th Administration and Finance Committee meeting. Agenda Bill number 6357, a motion declaring city property surplus and authorizing its disposal. The following item was reviewed at the April 4th Public Safety and Justice Committee meeting. Agenda Bill number 6416, a motion authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with Flock Group Incorporated for the Flock Safety Platform. And the following item was reviewed at the March 21st Planning and Economic Development Committee meeting. Agenda Bill number 6428, a motion authorizing the disposition of real property at 3215 South 152nd Street that was the former site of Fire Station number 47 for the creation of affordable multifamily or supportive housing.
Okay, so there no item were requested to be removed on time. So do I have motion to accept it?
So moved.
Okay, and second?
I second.
All right, for those who are in favor, say yeah. And those who are against, say nay.
Aye.
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 Aye. So you are 6-0. Beautiful, thank you. The next item in the agenda is the bill, agenda item 6415, a resolution accepting Carol Colley's letter of resignation from the position of the city manager, making severance payment and appointing an interim city manager. Carol requested to have a few minutes to make a statement. Carol, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't need a few minutes. I need maybe just one. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. I know there's been a lot of angst in and around the city and City Hall over my resignation. I just want everyone to know that this was my decision. There was no vote taken to separate me. And if one were taken, it doesn't do anyone any good to speculate on how it would turn out. I know that I enjoy tremendous support from the community, but I also enjoy tremendous support from Council. However, I do not enjoy the universal support of Council, which is not a good thing or a bad thing. It's simply a fact. However, it is critically important to me. And for that reason, Council and I have agreed on my separation as described in the resolution tonight. For the sake of my health, it is in my best interest to proceed. I loved working at SeaTac, and I always look upon my time here as a privilege. Thank you to all.
Thanks. Do I have a motion to accept agenda item 6415?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Aye.
Point of order. Can we discuss this? We should have an opportunity for discussion.
Okay, so I will accept it. Are you making an official motion to discuss or amended the motion?
So typically there's a motion and then a second, and then there's an opportunity for discussion before the vote.
Okay,
right?
All right, go ahead. I will recognize Mr. Simpson. Okay, sorry, I will recognize Mr. Simpson.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Carl, for your leadership over the past several years. It's been great working with you. There were times when I came into your office in my first couple of years, got a lot of help and, a lot of support when things got pretty hectic. You were really stable and you were a rock to all of us, and I couldn't appreciate that more. That guidance was really helpful. So I really appreciate that, and I appreciate your lengthy service to the city of SeaTac.
Mr. Kwan.
Thanks. So I I know that Carl has done a lot of hard work and heavy lifting. Carl has led the city through the pandemic. We look at SeaTac today and also SeaTac over the last, 5, 6 years or so, with Carl at the helm. And today, and also during the last at least, 4 or 5 years, SeaTac is in much better shape than any of our surrounding cities, and I would argue any city in the state of Washington at this point. So Carl, in addition to that, I know he's been serving as the Sound Cities Association on the Sound Cities Association board and treasurer, which is extra work, not required of him, but he has voluntarily taken that on. He's also involved with the Rotary, our local Rotary, which is also, outside of work, volunteer stuff. And has provided a very, positive communication and positive relationships with our residents, because Carl is often, the first person that anybody reaches out to talk with. So I think I've been asking around other cities to kind of like see, okay, what is the situation here for a city manager? If we were to hire one. And I learned that there are, at first I thought there was 3, but I learned that there are at least 5, if not maybe 6 or more. I stopped, trying to find any more cities. Right now there are 5 cities that are looking for city managers just in Washington State. And some of these cities have been looking for a city manager since like last October. So this is not an immediate process. This is a process that takes a long time to find a qualified person. I don't think it will be easy to replace any city manager at this time. I think it will be probably impossible to replace Carl at this time. So I think right now the city needs stability more than anything. And I do wish Carl the best. I do have a question, though. I mean, after this process, depending on which way it goes, we will need a council information session or a study session or something on the process of like, what our options are moving forward. Would that be our HR person or something at that point, depending on how it goes? Just want to make sure that we're covering all bases.
Yes, that's up to the council. If the council would like to have a session about what your options are moving forward.
Okay. All right, that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Kwan. Councilmember Havel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Carl, I want to say thank you for your service in SeaTac. I've lived here for almost 14 years, and through no fault of anyone in the room, we went through a really tumultuous time in COVID, and you led the city and our staff through a really challenging time, and I appreciate your service. I've always had really positive interactions with you, and enjoyed the opportunity to learn for a few months alongside each other as I started my time on City Council. So thank you, and wish you the best.
Thank you. Councilmember Vincent.
Thank you, Mayor Eagle. Carl, you and I spoke about this earlier today. I have supported the work and the leadership you have provided the city of SeaTac. Although our professional relationship has only been, 115 days, not that I'm counting. But I can speak to the time that I was a resident that you have always been very supportive of this community. I would shoot off emails in the middle of a city council meeting and would get a response from you that night. And it was very impressive. And I had only seen more examples of your commitment to the city of SeaTac. And if I could put you on the spot, is there any way we could get you to stay longer, if I'm okay to ask that, just until we can secure the transitional period? Because I do have some concerns. Your leadership has just been phenomenal. And I've talked to other electeds throughout the state of Washington, and I have only heard good things about you, just as I heard tonight in this room. It is a packed house, and I don't think I've heard one negative comment about you. So those are my comments, Mayor Eagle. Thank you.
Would you care to answer, Carl, that question?
Sure. I will say that this has been an emotional decision, and I would like to get through this tonight and then kind of sit on it and see what it's like not to have stress over my head every day, and then answer that question. But I would say I would not take any options off the table.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor.
I just want to echo a lot of the sentiments of the council. Carl, you have been very, very supportive of me in more ways than one. I could always rely on you. You were also a mentor outside of this when I had questions about the Evans School and that whole process, so I really appreciate it. And while this is really hard and it's sad to see you go, I do appreciate that you are taking the time that you need for yourself and your family. And it will be big shoes to fill, but I do have confidence that we will find someone who is, if not as good, at least equal, right? Or at least like comparable, I should say. So I just really sincerely want to thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Well, I agree everything you guys said in the chamber, and what most of you have said here. And I am very grateful that I had opportunity to work with Carol. It was pure joy and pleasure to work with him, really. So in saying that, do I have a motion to accept it? Carol's certification?
Mayor, there's already a motion on the table.
Okay, so let's go and vote, and I will start with Mr. Simpson.
Aye.
Mr. Kwan?
Nay.
Mr. Finton?
Nay.
Mr. Lavelle?
Aye.
Ms. Deputy Mayor Guzman?
Aye.
And I will be aye. So that will be 4 yes to accept it and 2 nay not to accept it. Thanks. All right, the next item in the agenda is the agenda bill 6417, a motion approving contract between the city and we remove this one, yes.
Yes.
The next one is the, agenda bill 6403, a motion authorizing city manager to execute interlocal agreement with Washington Department of Transportation to install new traffic video detection system ahead of Washington State Department of Transportation's paving project on International Boulevard. That will be 20 minutes presentation, and it will be engineering manager, Mr. Brenton Cook. It's all yours.
Thank you. Hopefully everyone can see my slides okay right now. All right. Good evening, council members. For the record, I'm Brenton Cook, engineering manager with the Public Works Department. Today, I'll be presenting a proposed interlocal agreement with WashDOT that addresses traffic signal upgrades at 2 intersections. So WashDOT has an overlay project on International Boulevard planned for this summer, and staff is seeking action from this council to authorize the city manager to execute an interlocal agreement with WashDOT to upgrade 2 existing traffic signals prior to WashDOT starting its work. Upgrading the subject signal systems will be beneficial to both agencies. WashDOT recently received funding for their overlay project and plan to begin work this summer. If authorized, staff will upgrade the signal systems prior to July 1st, 2024. All right, this slide shows the extent of WashDOT's proposed asphalt overlay on International Boulevard. The work will extend between SR 516 up to South 200th Street. The south half of the project falls within Des Moines and the north half within SeaTac. WashDOT's project will cross 3 signalized intersections along International Boulevard with our city limits within our city limits at South 208th Street, South 204th Street, and South 200th Street. For this presentation, we're going to ignore the intersection at 200th since it was recently upgraded to video detection already by Sound Transit. The subject traffic signals are currently operated in conjunction with induction loops embedded within the asphalt roadway. Traditionally, when paving work is completed within a signalized intersection, construction crews have to return to saw cut the new asphalt and embed new wiring to replace the induction loops that communicate with the signal network. This work takes time and is costly to perform because this work typically occurs at night as not to disrupt traffic patterns. This being said, there is an alternative. Instead, these signals can be upgraded to video detection systems before construction starts. Video detection systems don't rely on induction loops to operate. This reduces construction costs in terms of both materials and labor. It also results in more compressed construction schedule and minimizes impacts to the public. So how will the city benefit from the signal upgrades? The city will get a new state-of-the-art signal system or systems that are not just capable of efficiently synchronizing traffic flow, but are also safer for pedestrians and have the capability to collect traffic volume data, further bolstering our intelligent transportation system infrastructure. The city and WashDOT recently agreed to utilize WashDOT's D agreement template for an interlocal agreement that addresses the upgrades to the two signal systems. This agreement essentially sets up the city as a vendor for WashDOT. Once the agreement is executed, the city will issue a work order to King County Roads to procure the video detection equipment and supply the labor to upgrade both traffic signals before WashDOT's overlay work starts this summer. Once the work is completed, the city will bill WashDOT for reimbursement in full. So to be clear, WashDOT will absorb all costs associated with the proposed signal system upgrades. Per the agreement with WashDOT, the city will be responsible for fronting the full costs in 2024 to perform the signal upgrades. Total costs are currently estimated at $63,838. There is currently sufficient funding in the 102 fund within the traffic control maintenance account to temporarily cover the costs. Once the upgrade work is completed by the county, the city will bill WashDOT for reimbursement in full, and this revenue will return to the 102 fund. To conclude, staff is requesting that this council take action on this motion to authorize the city manager to execute an interlocal agreement with WashDOT for reimbursement of city costs in full to procure and install 2 new video detections on International Boulevard. And that concludes my presentation.
Thanks. Councilmember Simpson, would you like to make a motion?
I would like to move that we pass Agenda Bill 6403.
Do I have a second?
I have a second.
Good. Any question or comments? I will start from Mr. Simpson.
All I have to say is outstanding work, as usual, by the Transportation and Public Works team, figuring out how to get this done. It's obviously a necessary improvement. I really appreciate the presentation, Brenton. We reviewed this in committee, and thank you again.
Thanks. Mr. Rafael?
Yeah, I was on committee when this came, TMPW, Transportation and Public Works. It's such a challenge with all of the overlapping jurisdictions that we have. And a lot of cities have overlapping jurisdictions, but not a lot of cities have also an airport and all these things. So, Brenton, I really appreciate the team's work to get this through with all the partners on this. I think it's the way SeaTac functions best. So, thank you.
Mr. Simpson. Mr. Finton.
Thank you, Mayor Egal. Brenton, excellent presentation. I was also in the committee meeting. I just want to highlight that, the city of SeaTac, we are proactive in our approach here, and this is a honest reflection of that. So I fully support this. Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Kwan.
I have a question. I think this is a good idea, and I understand that WashDOT will eventually reimburse for this project. My question is, what about ongoing maintenance? If in the future something happens, and also the ongoing cost of operation, I'm assuming that these cameras will require things like electricity. Who covers those other expenses?
So to answer your question, Councilmember Kwan, these systems are actually cheaper in the long run to maintain, and that's why we have been switching to them. So the older style induction loops that are embedded within asphalt, it costs about $1,000 to replace each of those loops every time we come through with a maintenance or an overlay project. And so with the case of with these video detection systems, we don't have to worry about that long term. So it actually is quite a bit of cost savings long term. When it comes to the power, really these systems, for the most part, use very little power. The camera is connected to a processor within the signal cabinet just by an Ethernet cord. So very, very low power requirements on these systems.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Guzman.
No questions, just also want to thank the Public Works team for all of their due diligence on this. I like it when everything is broken down and it shows where it's going, where it's coming from, especially in terms of funding, so really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Well, it's very important project. I will support this, and thank you for your presentation. So, Council, would you unmute while I'm reading the Agenda Bill 6403? A motion authorizing the city manager to execute an interlocal agreement with Washington State Department of Transportation to install new traffic video detection system ahead of Washington State Department of Transportation's paving project on International Boulevard. For those who are support or in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Those who are against, 6-0. Thank you. The next item in the agenda is the Agenda Bill 6418, an ordinance authorizing execution of contract with Bullpen Consulting Services to provide on-call real property and right-of-the-way management services, and amending the 2023-2024 biannual budget. And this will be 10 minutes presentation for Abidol. Abidol, it's all yours.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, council members, Deputy Mayor. My name is Florendo Cabudal. I'm the city engineer with the Public Works Department, here to present Agenda Bill 6418. This ordinance that's being requested is to execute a on-call contract with Bullpen Consultant Services to provide on-call real estate management and right-of-way property management services. The incumbent in the position is currently in the process of separating with the city, effective May 3rd, which necessitated Public Works to seek out a contract to continue the relationship with the incumbent and her company, because she serves a critical role on one of our capital improvement projects, which is in the midst of right-of-way acquisition at this time. That project being the airport station area pedestrian improvement project. Public Works sought the best course of action would be to continue the relationship to see that through until completion to ensure as much success, probability for success for the project. We also built it or structured the contract so that it be task order based, so that if any additional related work comes about that may be assigned to her, that we can work up a cost to do so. The contract is designed to start on May 15th and will go through to May 31st of 2025. The requested amount for the contract is $140,000. As I mentioned, it's an on-call, so it's a not to exceed amount, and will only incur expenditures as authorized by staff. The selection of the firm to provide these services is sole source in nature, but for consulting services, professional services, that's allowed within our code and within state statutes. The sole sourcing of materials and construction contracts require competitive bidding, and our policies state that. So that's what we follow in regards to purchasing of materials and construction contracts. That was brought up at our Transportation Public Works Committee meeting as a question to be answered, and so addressing that at this time. So what's before council for consideration today is an ordinance that would both authorize the execution of the contract and would amend the 2023-2024 biennial budget to allocate unallocated funds from the 102 Street Fund to pay for the contract. That concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any question the committee may have.
Beautiful, thanks. Councilman Simpson, would you like to make a motion?
I would. Is the Agenda Bill 6418? Remind me. Is that the number?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I would like to make a motion to pass Agenda Bill 6418.
Do I have second?
Second.
All right. Deputy Mayor, second. Okay, so any questions and comments? I will start. Councilmember Simpson.
No, I mean, I think, Florendo, you answered the question that we had during committee, which was the, making sure that this wasn't a no-bid contract. And as long as we have assurances on that, then I'm good to go. I think this is a necessary project. We need to make it happen, so thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. I will start. Any comment or question, Mr. Kwan?
Thank you. First, I think it's unfortunate that we have a staff member that's moving out of state, and so, but you can't do anything about that. But I do understand the need to retain that person for as long as possible for the specific project, because some of these projects have been going on for a while. And because it involves working with property owners related to, right-of-way, property rights, things like that, the most important component in that is the relationship between city staff and the property owners, because if we switch them around in the middle, I know how these things can go sideways. So I understand that, I do support that, and I'm glad that we were able to come up with a solution that works for everyone.
Councilmember Simpson.
No comments. Thank you. Thank you.
Councilmember Lavelle.
It was a good presentation at TMPW, and is even better tonight. Thank you. I enjoyed the matinee.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Guzman.
No questions, and thank you, Florendo, for coming in person. I'm actually impressed to see you, not in a bad way, in a good way. For giving us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
He agreed.
Thank you, Mr. Abdul, and good presentation. That location is very important and vital for the city. So I'm glad that we are doing something. Thank you very much. Okay, so if there's not any question or comments, I like to, Council Member Simpson, would you like?
We already made the motion.
Okay, we already make the motion. So for those who are unmute all council members. So while I'm reading the motion, Agenda Bill 61418, an ordinance authorizing execution of contract with Bullpen Consulting to provide on-call real property and right-of-the-way management services and amending the 2023-2024 biannual budget. Those who are in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those who are against say nay. 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again. Okay, next, it's public transportation again. This is good. So agenda item, next item in the agenda is the agenda item bill 6401, a motion adopting the City of SeaTac 2024-2028 Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan. It will be 15 minutes presentation from Mr. Will you go? 15 minutes, Will.
Everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor Gall and Council. My name is Will Lugo. I'm the City Emergency Management Program Coordinator, and today I will be presenting on the adoption of our Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan that was just updated and submitted to the state. Purpose is to get adoption of the plan of the City SeaTac 2024-2028 CMP, or Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan, by the council. And we're going to talk about why having an adopted plan is required by the state, and it ensures the city is prepared and organized to provide during the 5 phases of emergency management. And then also having an adopted plan is required to be eligible for any FEMA public assistance reimbursements or funding. So the Comprehensive Management Plan basically breaks down how the city departments coordinate emergency management related actions between internal stakeholders, external stakeholders, and neighboring jurisdictions, and as well as the King County Emergency Management. Covers 5 phases, as I said earlier, which are preparedness, prevention, mitigation, response, and recovery. Our CMP by state requirements are updated every 5 years. The state reviews the plan. The state does not approve the plan or anything like that. It's just requirement that they review to make sure we have a plan on file. And then the state uses their tier evaluation method to make recommendations how we can improve our plan. There's always a continuous effort to improve the plan every time we do an update. So our CMP consists of our basic plan, and then we have department annexes that support the basic plan. It has essential elements information portion, and then also includes our inclusive emergency communications plan that covers how we would send emergency messaging to our top 5 languages spoken in the city as required by RCW. This past adoption or this past update that we have just did, we went ahead and moved away. Our old plan was broken down in emergency support functions, and you can see them on the screen. And basically that lays down different aspects of functions that we have to take care of in case of a disaster. So that we moved away from emergency support functions because our city isn't as large. The state has emergency support functions, the county has emergency support functions, but as a city, the way we operate, it's easier to break it down to department annexes, so every department knows what their roles and responsibilities are. Now, one department may has a role in different emergency support functions, so that way it's all encompassed within that department annexes, and they know what they got to do. The basic plan covers introduction, purpose, mission of the plan, concept of operations, how we're going to go about doing response, recovery, mitigation, so on and so forth, direction and control, and kind of command and control of the departments during the response and recovery portion. And then we have organization charts on the day-to-day org chart, and then the emergency operations center and disaster org chart, which could be drastically different in times of a disaster. Goes over responsibilities of the government, private sector, non-government organizations, individual community members, and covers incident management and critical tasks. So it kind of goes in there how we partner with stakeholders across our area. Goes into communications, administration of the plan, such as how we make changes, document processes, retention. Goes into financing, training plan, things of that sort of how we implement all those things. Then it has several appendices, just like any plan, talks about acronyms, abbreviations, terms, definitions, and then department responsibilities for ICS functions or incident command system functions. Our department annexes are listed on the screen. All our departments have an annex in there that breaks down what core capabilities they're responsible for, which are primary, which are they support, and which one their primary responsibilities. And then it goes into the 5 phases and lists their responsibilities during the 5 phases. Some departments don't have a lot of roles, some have more than others. So this breaks it down. Some supporting plans, so like it says, it's a comprehensive emergency management plan, so it encompasses a lot of our other plans that we have already in place, like such as our hazard mitigation plan, which we are signatory to King County's regional hazard mitigation plan. We have an annex in there, so we have our mitigation plan outlined. Our debris management plan, which we went over last year, that we updated and talks about how we will handle in case of a disaster, how we're going to handle all the debris that's in the right of way and making sure we clean that up and how we dispose of it. And then also our inclusive emergency communications plan, which, like I said earlier, has pre-scripted emergency messaging in our top 5 languages and how we go about getting those messages out.
Hey, Will, since you had a little break there, you got a little quieter.
Oh, I did? Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
there you
go.
That's a little better.
I
Yeah.
apologize.
That's
All
right.
right, I apologize. So our comprehensive management plan was due to the state in 2021, but due to COVID, every jurisdiction in the state got an extension, and our extension was granted to December of 23 that we had to have it submitted. It was submitted December 1st to the state. They completed their review on February 8th of 2024, and as you see, we scored a 93% on the CMP review, and on the screen is a attached letter that we get from the state once our review is done, showing that we are good for the next 5 years for the next review. In their review, they have 3 different tiers. Tier 1 is mandatory legal statutory requirements, and then they have tier 2 is enhanced requirements, or not really requirements, but good information to have in the plan. And then tier 3 is called EMAP accreditation, and that's kind of lists their requirements. They're not mandatory, but if we were to ever go for EMAP accreditation as emergency management department, then we would try to get all those check marked and completed. So recommend the City of SeaTac Comprehensive Management Plan be adopted by council, and we will go on, and it'll be good for the next 5 years while we do yearly reviews to update anything that the state requested.
Thank you, Will.
Barring any questions, that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. It's nice to see you. Council Member Simpson, would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to adopt the 2024-2028 City of SeaTac Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan, CEMP.
Do I have a second?
You have a second?
Thank you. Any question or comments? And Council Member Simpson?
Well, yeah, I got to give props again. Will, again, this is another sequel for the people in Transportation and Public Works, but I know this was a huge lift. How long did this take you to put together?
I started about 1.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Trying to convert everything and changing it from ESF format, emergency support function, to department. So yeah.
And you didn't show the graph on the screen, I don't think, but I have it right here from our Transportation Public Works. It's pretty exciting to see that all the requirements were hitting, like mostly hitting 100%, and then beyond that, the suggestions were hitting between 65 and 100% in a lot of those categories, and in the optional, we're hitting some of those. So we're going above and beyond with this plan, and I'm sure that the next iteration is going to be even better and more enhanced, but this is really fantastic work, and it's something that we need to adopt, and we obviously have really capable hands leading the charge here, so thank you again, Will.
Thank you, Councilmember Simpson. Councilmember Lavelle.
I agree with Councilmember Simpson. It was good to see this in TNPW. It was good to see it again tonight. Very impressed. You were one of the first meetings that Councilmember Vincent and I got to attend where we really helped to understand a little bit of what SeaTac does when things aren't going right. And I felt so confident in our ability to respond as a city, and as a city council person, it was, I picked up a bunch of terminology, and there's so many things, good things to say about the way this plan came together. So great job to you and the team, everyone who supported you at all the organizations. I know there's more than one agency that oversees this. So please share our compliments with them for helping us get through to this point, and for you for, championing it the whole way. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Lavelle. Councilmember Finton.
Thank you, Mayor Gall. Will, I have a couple of technical questions for you. You stated earlier that this plan is reviewed annually. Is that correct?
Yes, I review it internally.
Internal,
and
yes.
The state reviews every 5 years. Yes.
Perfect. So my question is, do we as a city conduct any emergency disaster simulations? Is that a practice here?
That's on the agenda to do.
Okay.
Yes, the training exercise plan. So we do stand-ups of our EOC, and we do tabletops, and kind of go through. We just had a tabletop October, November, and we hit a cybersecurity element and a long-term power outage tabletop. And that was with leadership, and then we bring the EOC stands up together, and then bring the EOC staff to do tabletops and stuff like that.
Awesome. Just want to put this out here. At the next tabletop, please send me an invite. Great work.
All right.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
Councilmember Kwan.
No comment. Good work.
Deputy Mayor, this one.
I want to sing the praises of Wilfredo Lugo because since I started, I didn't know much about emergency management, not in the most technical formal sense, and Will has made it so accessible to understand and really just has included us in every step of it. And I was never a nerd for it, but I did attend the emergency management training in Tequila, and the presentation was great. But just having Will there was awesome because, he could probably teach this in his sleep, but it's just so great to see him present and really just involved. And I didn't ever really understand how this worked, and thanks to Will, I get it, and I feel so much more confident that as a city, were we to be in an unfortunate event or circumstances, a natural disaster, et cetera, I just know I 110% will put all of my trust in Will leading us through that successfully. So I just want to thank you so much for everything that you do for us, because you're always in the background, but we know you're doing the work.
Thank you.
Well, I should say that I agreed 100%, Deputy Mayor. I remember working with you, Hanover apartment with and Mr. Lugo. And I was surprised at how many connections you have, actually. Social service providers, business community in the South, how you brought all of those resources together for those people. So I'm very grateful of your work and leadership, and I appreciate it. Council, will you unmute for your mic while I'm reading the motion? Agenda Bill number 6401, a motion adopting the City of SeaTac 2024-2025 Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan. For those who are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
For those who are against, say nay. So that will be 6-0. Thank you, Will, again.
And just for clarification, that was
4-year.
2024-2028 Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan.
That's what I said, 2024, 2028. Thank you, Christina.
Mr. Mayor, one quick question for Mr. Lugo.
Yeah,
Did
please.
you have a contingency plan if we didn't pass this? We can't hear you.
We're gonna pass it. Yeah.
But if you didn't, so is that maybe a gap in the plan of what if the council didn't pass it? I want you to think about this, for a no, please don't. Sorry.
I think it would go a long way if we didn't have an adopted plan.
I'm very glad it passed, just to make sure that's clear. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilman LaFell and Luke. So the next item is unfinished business. I will start with Councilmember Simpson. No unfinished business? Okay, good. So it is any comments or any council comments? I will start with Councilmember Simpson. Any comments?
Have a great night. It's still sun out, and it's 7:30. That's pretty sweet. So get out of here and enjoy that last little bit of sunshine.
Beautiful, thanks. Councilmember Kwan.
Thank you. So this Friday is Arbor Day, so wanted to remind everybody that SeaTac is actually a Tree City USA. SeaTac has been a Tree City for 14 years now, and for the last 8 years, SeaTac has received the Growth Award. The Growth Award is presented by the Arbor Day Foundation to cities that participate and demonstrate higher levels of tree care and community engagement during the year. And it also recognizes major milestones and annual activities in multiple different categories that combine to build a sustainable community, forest programs, and long-term tree care. So planting trees is one of the programs that we have every year, and I'm looking forward to the next one coming up. But there's also tree maintenance, tree protection, collaboration, and engaging with volunteer groups is another one, and recycling is included. Just wanted to highlight this for our community members who may not be aware that SeaTac is a Tree City, been winning awards. More information on this is available at arborday.org. With that, I wish everyone have a good night and see you next time.
Thank you, Councilmember Kwan. Councilman Fisher.
Thank you, Mayor Eagle. I have no comments. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you.
Councilman Lopez.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Gall. Most folks have logged off or left chambers by now, but I do just want to say thank you to everyone who came. This was, a more packed meeting. There are a lot more people here and commenting than typical, and I just appreciate that folks took the time. It's a beautiful day. It's challenging to peel away from that, especially as we start to hit those first beautiful days in the Pacific Northwest. But it demonstrates that there are a lot of folks who care. I know there were a lot of folks who couldn't make it here, folks that we reached out to, folks that reached out to us and asked if there was another meeting, another chance to talk about the items on the agenda today. So I just really want to thank those who could make it and acknowledge those who couldn't make it and share their commentary. I appreciate everyone the time it takes to invest in our city and invest in our community and the future of SeaTac. So that's all I have for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor Guzman.
Yeah, I just want to also thank folks who came and spoke. And I want to note that this is not easy work. And so when we're making decisions up here, it's easy to make accusations. It's easy to spread misinformation. And it's easy to put out quotes that don't necessarily capture our sentiment as a council. No one person speaks for everybody. And so I just want to acknowledge that anything that occurs, there is a lot of forethought put into it. There is a lot of research and a lot that brings us to these decisions. And so if people are not happy with it, I appreciate that because that is your right as a community member and resident. But the false information and accusations are really not helpful in the long run because we need to move forward as a city, and the face of SeaTac has changed quite a bit, especially over the last 10 years. And I feel that I've lived here for, I've lost count, 17 years, I think. I feel that this is the first time in a long time that the council reflects our residents, and not just in terms of diversity, but in terms of values as well. And so I appreciate those folks who really can appreciate that and see it and acknowledge it, because we're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and I'm okay with that. But I want folks to know, and I want this on record, that I'm here to represent the majority of our residents and not just the few. We may not all speak English perfectly. We may not all have been born in this country. And the beautiful part about this country and this folks sitting here is that we all ran elections and we were voted in by the people, and maybe we'll be voted out, and that's okay too. But every one of us came from a different experience and background, and that's exactly why these exist, and that's what democracy is based on. It shouldn't just be the career politicians who are always getting the opportunities. It shouldn't just be the people who are wealthy and who don't have to have day jobs, who just have all the time in the world to do this. Like, it should be for everybody, and if you look at each one of us, we are that. We are exactly why this was established the way it was, that this is how democracy works, and we are the face of that. So just thank you all so much, and have a great evening.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Guzman. I agree with you, actually, everything that you said. I want to add that thank you for those of you who are here and those who left. That shows me that you care your city. That's why you are here, and I appreciate that. So, it's not easy to be a public servant. Really, it's not. So I'm trying to do my best. And I care this city. I love this city. I know people who live here. We don't agree sometimes, but we care 100% of this city. And that's what's important. So saying that, it's a beautiful day. Please enjoy the rest of your day, and it's nice to see you all. Thank you. It is 7:28. I like to adjourn this meeting.